morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. My name is Callie, and this is another weekend of clarinets, cats, and coffee. In today's video, I am going to answer one question that many viewers have asked me multiple times over the past few years, and that is, Callie, what is going on with your mouthpiece situation? You keep switching between the B40 Lyre and the BD5. Before I jump into that, thank you patrons so much for supporting my channel. If you are watching this and you are not already supporting my channel, I am a freelance musician and every little bit really helps to keep my channel running. I do love making this channel. I love teaching and I love connecting with people all over the world. So if you want to send a little thank you my way, head over to Patreon or right here on YouTube, channel memberships, and you get lots of cool perks depending on what level you join. So I would love to see more of you there, and thank you all who have supported me over the years. All right, so, okay. I'm gonna try to keep this as organized as possible. I may get off onto tangents, but I will try to stay focused, okay? So just bear with me here. At the moment, I am playing on a B40 Lyre with Van Doren V12 reeds, 3.5 plus, and Van Doren traditional reeds, strength 4, and I'm using the MO gold-plated ligature, this little guy. I've been playing on this setup since mid-April of this year, and I have consistently used it since then up to this point. Over the past 7-ish years, my favorite mouthpiece has been the BD5, and I will switch back and forth between the BD5 and the B40 Lyre, but that one, the BD5 seems to stick the most. And this year, I caught COVID for the first time at the end of March, and so I took 10 days off of playing clarinet just to make sure that everything was okay. And when I came back to it, I decided, all right, I am going to choose the setup that helps me sound as good as possible with whatever endurance level I am at right now after taking 10 days off. And so I spent a couple of days using my favorite reeds on the BD5, my favorite reed setup on the B40 Lyre, and I decided that the B40 Lyre would be the way to go. Now, I have a specific idea of sound that I want to sound like, and I'm sure you guys do too as well. And my thoughts are that we're going to try to sound the way that we naturally want to sound in our heads. We have an idea in our head. We're going to try to make any kind of equipment we use match that sound concept that we have, okay? So whenever I was trying these out on zero endurance, my goal was to choose a setup that would allow me to sound the way that I think I should sound, the most natural way of playing possible, okay? And so that led me to the B40 Lyre. Now, I'm gonna get into the details of why I am choosing to use this one over the BD5, okay? So the thing that I like about the B40 Lyre, it has a focused, clear sound. It has very easy articulation. And one of my biggest issues with my BD5 is that the F's and E's at the bottom of the staff tend to run a bit low. And that's already low on this instrument. And so compensating for those intonation problems with a BD5 was not working. And I had to actually do some weird fingering combinations to get those to sound in tune with other players, okay? So the B40 Lyre doesn't have that problem, and honestly, it's kind of nice to not have to work with that. And I feel like it's a lot easier to play on this setup with this with this clarinet. Now, the reason why I kept going back to the BD5, it's a very easy mouthpiece to play, and articulation is so easy, and a lot of intonation problems are accounted for on that mouthpiece. Like, my throat tones on the BD5 are not so outrageously out of tune, really sharp, things like that. So I liked that aspect of the mouthpiece. I liked that it has or had a more covered sound, very pretty home bass sound. The problem I have is that the BD5 to me feels and sounds kind of stuffy if I'm playing reeds that feel comfortable. So that means in order to have the sound concept that I want and the projection that I need to get, I have to play on much harder reeds. And so I have really settled into the V12-4 or traditional 4 reeds on the BD5, and I don't actually take that much cane off of them when I sand them. I do very, very light sanding, very fine sandpaper to get the reeds to be really smooth and pretty polished, but I don't take a ton of cane off of them. So to me, if you are liking the BD5, but it's a little more stuffy or not, quite having that ping and the sound that you want, you should try harder reeds on it. Now that's going to be a little bit more work, and for a while that was worth it to me. When I switched over to the B40 Lyre, I realized that I didn't really need to work as hard to get the sound that I wanted from it. So I still use somewhat harder reeds on the B40 Lyre. I think Van Doren even recommends like 3s on the B40 Lyre. I do like harder reeds. I think I get better projection, cleaner articulation, and more focus in the sound. So that's kind of where I'm at with those two mouthpieces. So, maybe in a year I'll change my mind and I will miss my sound in the BD5 mouthpiece, and maybe I'll go back to it. And there are little things that I would do with the BD5. For example, the Optimum ligature brings out more of the brighter sound in the mouthpiece, so I like to use the Optimum with the BD5. The B40 Lyre tends to be more on the bright side, so I like to warm it up a little bit with that gold-plated MO ligature. Still has great projection, great articulation like the Optimum, but to me it just kind of tones down some of that character that the mouthpiece can have when I play it. So at the end of the day, I think I still sound like me, whether I'm playing a B40 Lyre or a BD5, because that's just kind of how my ears want to hear me sound. So I'm gonna go ahead and play a couple of examples on both of these mouthpieces for you to compare. So now, just keep in mind at this point, I am very much used to playing on the B40 Lyre setup. So, take that as it is. That's my B40 Lyre with a 3.5 plus V12 reed. Not bad. B40 Lyre is making my life a lot easier. Now, why did I go with the BD5 in the first place? Okay, so I think that my old instrument was an old RC Prestige from the 80s, like 1980s, and I think it was getting kind of blown out and I needed more resistance to make up for it. So when I tried the BD5 for the first time, it was just like, wow. It like really balanced out that really bright open sound that I was getting for the RC Prestige. Newer model instruments don't sound like that, by the way. It's just, you know, as they age, the way they blow changes, okay? So I found that to be like a really good balance for it. So whenever I switched over to the Yamaha clarinets, I just assumed, okay, Yamaha clarinets are brighter, so I should keep playing on this BD5 mouthpiece. And I don't think it ever actually really felt quite right, at least in the same way that it did with my RC Prestige. So whenever I picked this B40 lyre out earlier this year, I made sure like to get based on the tuning of the tuning needs of my instrument and to match, you know, the sound concept that I had. Okay, that was a lot of information. I hope that this wasn't the most boring video in the world. I hope you guys got a little bit out of it. You know, who knows? My goal is to stick with this B40 lyre, read ligature combination for at least until next year in April before I start switching things up again. I'm just trying to get more consistency in my playing, and I think I'm at a point where I don't really care to do much experimenting with stuff because I can already make my stuff sound the way I want. So I'm going to try to be as consistent with that as possible until next year sometime, and who knows, maybe I'll change my mind then and go in a completely opposite direction. I don't know. Anyway, hope you guys have a nice weekend, a good week next week, and as always, happy practicing.